Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and we are up this morning with some massive breaking news that some of us might have expected, others maybe not so much. I'm gonna be honest here. I didn't think that this was going to happen as long as Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang were still around. The Pittsburgh Penguins and head coach, that is two-time Stanley Cup champion head coach, Mike Sullivan, have just mutually agreed to part ways. That news came from Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman about half an hour ago. Emily Kaplan as well from ESPN. So I'm going to get this banner up on the screen here. We are going to learn about all the details of this in real time here. There we go. There is the banner right now. So the Penguins and head coach Mike Sullivan are parting ways. Let me go here to what we know so far. So this is from Seth Rorabaugh, who is a beat reporter for the Trib in Pittsburgh. He posted the inbox screenshot that the Penguins have sent out to all the media. The Pittsburgh Penguins and head coach Mike Sullivan have agreed to part ways. It was announced today by President of Hockey Operations and General Manager Kyle Dubas. Now, Dubas did have his end of season before we go into the draft and free agency and all that here in the not too distant future. He was, talking about how the team is going to shift towards contending and buying and bringing in assets more than selling off and, reacquiring draft picks and whatnot. And he was asked about, Kyle Dubas was asked about Mike Sullivan's contract and where he stands with the team and if he'll be back. Sullivan said on Locker Room Cleanout Day that he expected to be back as the Penguins head coach. And Dubas said, we have a meeting with Mike later this week, and we will discuss, how we're moving forward and all that from there. So it was a little bit of a ominous and, weird answer. Like you got a weird vibe off of it, but continuing on the inbox here to the media, on behalf of Fenway Sports Group and the Penguins organization, I would like to thank Mike Sullivan for his unwavering commitment and loyalty to the team and city of Pittsburgh over the past decade, said Kyle Dubas. Mike is known for his preparation, focus, and fierce competitiveness. I was fortunate to have a front row seat to his dedication to this franchise for the past 2 seasons. He will forever be an enormous part of Penguins history, not only for the impressive back-to-back cups, his impact on the core of Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, and Brian Rust, but more importantly, for his love and loyalty to the organization. This was not a decision that was taken lightly, but as we continue to navigate the Penguins through this transitional period, we felt it was the best course forward for all involved. Now, this is from Adam Crowley and Scorin Dickerson, 93.7 The Fan, morning show hosts. They said that Crowley posted this 22 minutes ago, that they received word yesterday that Sullivan and the Penguins would be parting ways, that they were, on the same text length. He says that the team met with Sullivan yesterday, and Sullivan had a list of non-negotiable demands. That is when Dubas and Fenway Sports Group decided to come to this decision to part ways. In all honesty, we heard ever since the New York Rangers fired head coach Peter Laviolette a little over a week ago that Mike Sullivan, and even if Rick Tocchet got fired or not brought back up in Vancouver, that those two ex-Penguin coaches would be at the top of the New York Rangers list. I thought that was, not going to happen. I thought that Tocchet out of those two would be the more likely to go coach the Rangers instead of Sullivan. Didn't think Sullivan was going to go anywhere as long as Crosby, Malkin, and Letang were still around, because, at least I know off the top of my head, Crosby really, really enjoys playing for Sullivan. But now, don't be surprised if you hear in the next couple of days that the New York Rangers have hired head coach Mike Sullivan. And this was kind of due to, I love Sully, and did I think he maybe had a little bit more left in the tank? Maybe. I would have been very intrigued to see how things start off next year when you get some of those younger guys from the AHL and Wilkes-Barre up in the NHL full-time. You got a little free sample of it at the end of the season, I think in the last 8 games there, when you had Ville Koivunen and Rucker McGroarty for a shorter sprint there, and the team improved mightily down the stretch. Now, it, kicked them out of a potential top 5 draft pick. They're picking 9th right now, or scheduled to at least. But, I would have loved to see what Sullivan could have done with a younger group yet again, kind of like what he had in 2016 or 2017. But, as much as I say that, wanting to see how he would have done with a young group of kids who are fast, fearless, and full of energy around Crosby and Sid, as much as I would love to see that. Also, we cannot forget that I think I saw the post about a week ago now. We are now like 200 or 2,500 and some odd days since the last time a Pittsburgh sports team has won a playoff series and advanced in the playoffs. That last team was Mike Sullivan's Pittsburgh Penguins in 2018. They made it out of the first round against the Philadelphia Flyers, I believe, and then they got knocked out by the Washington Capitals, who went on to win the Cup that year. So now we are here. That was the last time. Sullivan has not won a playoff series in the last 7 seasons. They haven't made the playoffs in the last 2 or 3 seasons now. Anytime they have made the playoffs, they've ran into a New York Islanders team, which has had their number. So it's time for a change of, voice in that room, because, as much as the team looks good at the end of last season, the first half of the season plus more, this team was so horrible. You had constant defensive miscues and lack of fundamentals. Your goaltending was giving up, the first goal on the first shot night in, night out. You're behind the 8 ball almost immediately every game. For stretches of the season there, you only had your top line of Crosby, Raquel, and Brian Rust scoring goals. So this was, probably more needed than what we all think. Again, would have loved to see him get one more go around at it with a younger core. But honestly, now we get to look forward to something new, and hopefully now it's on Kyle Dubas to bring in, someone good here to get this team up to date with the current state of hockey, where it is faster, it is high pace, it is high scoring, and hopefully the Penguins can catch up with the times here. 8 of you in here right now. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I'm live. I want your guys' instant reaction in the live comment section here. Feel free to put your reactions and feelings on Mike Sullivan and him leaving the team in here. I'm going to go here through Twitter and just see if there's any new information here. Josh Carney, who I believe does some Steelers writing, Mike Sullivan to Boston. You never know. I doubt Boston's going to fire their head coach. I think Boston actually came out and said that they're bringing back their head coach and their general manager, Don Sweeney, who traded Marchand. So I bet you that a lot of people are very, very happy with that. Mike most likely going to go to the New York Rangers. I believe, like, wherever Mike Sullivan is gone, there has been some sort of connection to his alma mater of Boston College. Part of the reason why I thought he was going to stay here with the Penguins is because, Fenway Sports Group, Boston-owned, Boston-based sports team ownership corporation. I thought they would have seen Mike Sullivan and looked at him over the past, decades, see what he did with the Penguins in 2016, 2017, and they would have treated him like hockey's Bill Belichick, and he's a Boston guy to boot. So, I bet he was loved there by the ownership for most of his tenure. Obviously not now, because he just got fired. but could go back to Boston, move back closer to where I'm sure he has family up there. Could go to the Rangers now. I think the one connection I saw there is that I believe who's the Rangers general manager up there? I believe he's a Boston guy. Chris Drury. Okay, so Chris Drury, and did he go to Boston College? I think that was the. Let me see here. Boston University, so BU. Maybe that's BU that I'm thinking of, not Boston College, is where Sully's from. So Chris Drury, yeah, he did go to Boston University, won a Hobie Baker Award up there. So there's your connection there between Boston with Drury and Sullivan there. So you might see Sullivan go there almost immediately. I would not doubt that whatsoever. Lots of people here on Twitter I'm seeing just as shocked as I am. Let me scroll here through the thing here. Yeah, just the Penguins at the bottom of here. Sullivan was elevated from Wilkes-Barre Scranton of the AHL to be Pittsburgh's head coach in December of 2015 and went on to lead the team to back-to-back Stanley Cup championships in 2016 and 2017. Sullivan's 409 wins with the Penguins makes him the Penguins' all-time wins leader and just the 14th coach in NHL history to win 400 games with one team. A thorough search for the next Penguins head coach will begin immediately. So that was the last little bit of the Penguins inbox out to the fans here. Just let me real quick look at the current head coaching candidates among the NHL, see if there's such a list on there. Got that 2 days ago from Yardbarker. All right, well, let me at least go here. This is the list of top 5 coaching candidates for the New York Rangers. Came out 2 days ago. Jay Pandolfo, David Carl, Mitch Love, Jeff Halpern, Jay Leach. Jay Woodcroft. He's available. I think Craig Berube. He's the assistant coach with the Toronto Maple Leafs, if I'm not correct. He's there. Wonder if Rick Tocchet will get let go up in Vancouver. Then we'll see maybe if he'll come return to Pittsburgh. Do you guys think that'll happen? Is that a possibility? Rick Tocchet coming back? Instant reactions in the live comment section to Mike Sullivan and the Pittsburgh Penguins mutually parting ways. Apparently Sullivan wanting some non-negotiable demands to go his way. And the Penguins and Kyle Dubas said, thank you for your service here in Pittsburgh there, Mike, but we are going to future endeavor you here. Little shocked about that here this morning. Would have thought that they probably did honestly view him as the guy to maybe take this team into the next generation here, see what they can do with Sid, Gino, and Letang and a whole bunch of other kids. But now we get to see if we can bring in some more of an offensive-minded head coach. Let me see. There's got to be a list here somewhere of current NHL coaching job rumors. John Tortorella is available if anybody's interested. Anybody interested in a another veteran, John Tortorella. I mean, I'm sure Penguins fans have a love-hate relationship with Torts, but, who knows? Rick Tocchet available there. I think I saw something that Joel Quenneville is getting some chatter around him, the former Chicago Blackhawks head coach who won 3 Stanley Cups there during the Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, Duncan Keith era. 10 of you in here right now. We are reacting live to the Pittsburgh Penguins and head coach Mike Sullivan parting ways this morning. Bit of unexpected news. Pittsburgh Penguins now just 9 minutes ago posting the thank you Sully graphic. Here, let me see if I can do this. There it is right there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mike. And here is the quote there from Kyle Dubas, if y'all can see how that is right there. That's probably the most shocking thing out of all of this right here from Buckin. It's Buckin Prinny. Seen some of his work before. Fan there. Mike Sullivan really got fired before Derek Shelton and Mike Tomlin, especially Derek Shelton there. Like, how the hell does that moron still have a job? This from Kyle Dubas right here, this quote. Wow. Okay. See if anything else here is going on. Do we got anything else? Really, the Penguins are starting to take over the feed here. My feed all weekend long has been pictures of Will Howard and Jack Sawyer, the 2 popular draft picks for the Pittsburgh Steelers from Saturday's day 3 of the NFL draft. By the way, if you haven't seen that live stream yet, go check it out. It's up on my page. I think I'm going to chop together a video and have it out sometime later this evening of my reactions to all of the Steelers draft choices. Hope you guys check it out then. Chris Muller from 93.7 The Fan. Since this job is a rebuild, regardless of the names on the roster, I'd want a young, up-and-coming coach that can develop with the team, not a big name retread. That's what I'm kind of leaning towards too. Sure, you can go out and get your Quenneville or your Tortorella, your Tocchet's, your Berubes of the world there, but why not take a shot on a younger coach who's more modernized with the current game of hockey, one that's, gotten younger, it's gotten more skillful, high-octane offense league. You're seeing it in the playoffs right now. If you struggle to score for even a short period of time, you're going to be missing out on the playoffs. Each and every team in playoffs currently know how to put the puck in the back of the net. There we go. We good here? My screen blanked out there for a second. There we go. We should be good. Still scrolling here, looking for any more news on Mike Sullivan. Definitely news here that probably much needed here at this point in Penguins history. A much needed change here. Just shocking nonetheless. You would have thought that this would kind of be like a Mike Tomlin situation or a Derek Shelton situation with the Penguins. Well, not so much Derek Shelton, but a Mike Tomlin situation where it's like you got some fans who want him out, and a change would be probably for the best, but never expected it to, come. Benjamin Cole in the comments, perfect chance to mend relations with Mario Lemieux. Could be, but I don't see that happening. That was a completely fumbled situation there. Not only the just the most popular guy and the most influential guy in the history of the organization, and you very slowly phased him out. You know what? Speaking of Mario, I know that he was here last year for his jersey retirement ceremony, and he stayed in town for a couple of days and went looking for his bobbleheads as well. It's right behind that Penguins belt right there. It's hanging on the wall. Think Jaromir Jagr would be interested in coaching? Just throwing that out there. He was here. I remember when he was in town watching the Pens that he was up in the press box, and he was always like this, looking down at the ice from his box, wondering what the hell's going on here, looking like he wants to either hop on the ice himself or go down there and give the guys pointers. So, hey, Jaromir, how would you feel about coming back to Pittsburgh? And you literally, with a big goal that we all remember, you literally saved the Penguins one time. How about you come back and coach the team, and you can help lead the Penguins to another cup championship again. Get your third cup, this time as a coach. How about it, Yogs? And again here, I will say I keep seeing this here, that I do want to say thank you to Mike Sullivan for how he came in, and really in a time in Pittsburgh where we could maybe see the window of Crosby and Malkin starting to crack. He came in after just the horrible Mike Johnston hire. He was absolutely terrible. One of the worst Penguins coaches I've ever seen. So he came in and he brought his young guys with him from Wilkes-Barre, your Connor Sheary's, Brian Russ, Brian Dumoulin's, Matt Murray, Scott Wilson, others came up, turned things around, and that was also right after the beginning of the season in 2015 when Mike Johnston got fired and they brought in Sullivan. That was also the offseason when Jim Rutherford brought in Phil Kessel and things got off to a bad start. He came in and turned it around, and we are forever thankful for Mike Sullivan for what he did. So thank you, Sully, for back-to-back cups. All I knew going through high school was watching the Pens win championships, and I thank you very, very much. Bilesma also, slim possibility if this ruffled any of Crosby's feathers. Yeah, true. Bilesma, he just got let go of up there in Seattle. That could be a possibility. I believe they make the hire already, Seattle. I don't think they made a hire of a new head coach yet. I do know that Ron Francis was their GM, and he just got moved up there as well with the Bilesma move to a president of hockey operations role. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe you do give Danny Bilesma a call, see if he's interested. Maybe call up Chris Kunitz, see what Ruslan Fedotenko's up to. Trade for Jordan Stahl, get the band back together. Say, Flower, you got one more year left in you. I know you just kind of did a farewell tour around the league, but maybe come back, Flower. Tyler Kennedy, he's still in Pittsburgh. I see him and hear him on 93.7 The Fan a lot. TK, you still got some wheels left on in you. I actually played Tyler Kennedy in a charity game when I was into high school, and he was, I think, a few years retired at that point, but I'm sure he still got wheels. Kenneth Miller in the chat, for sure. Big thanks to Mike Sullivan. It was just time for a new voice in that locker room, a new vision. Yeah, all good things have to come to an end across all sports. Happened with Dan Bilesma, and he got Sid his first cup. And, now it happened with Mike Sullivan. Just thinking about football here. All of the good coaches there. Noel, Cower, Tomlin still going. 3 coaches in, handful of decades now. But all good things come to an end just because this was needed, and a new voice in that locker room needed to be had, a new style of play, because Sullivan's system has become outdated, and teams more and more as years have gone by have learned how to beat Sullivan's system. That's why you've saw defensive lapses, poor goaltending letting up the first goal every single game, lack of depth scoring for most of the year behind Crosby, Malkin, or Crosby, Rust, and Raquel. So this was needed, but for sure, big thank you to Mike Sullivan for all he did here. We'll forever have the memories of watching back-to-back Stanley Cup championships and having fun summers. Bilesma as head coach and Fleury as goalie coach. Maybe. I'm not sure if Flower is the type to go behind the bench. I think Flower, he'd be more of like a TV personality, if anything. Maybe like how Henrik Lundqvist is doing right now with TNT. Maybe Fleury would be like that, but I don't know. If Flower's interested in coaching, I'd give him a call. Say, hey, we got 2 young goalies coming up here, Sergei Murashov and Yoel Blomqvist. You're one of the greatest goalies of all time, the greatest goalie in Penguins history by far. Flower, come in, teach up these young kids who are going to allegedly be in a battle with Tristan Jarry and Alex Nedeljkovic to begin training camp next season. I don't see how you bring both Jarry and Nedeljkovic back. I think one of them is bound to leave. So just get him in the locker room. Yeah, vibes guy. We need some more pranksters back in the Penguins locker room. Maybe you'll get some of that with the younger kids as well. Chad Schrader, welcome back, Chad. Sup? And I love all our Steelers draft picks. Hopefully us drafting Will Howard means it's the end of the Rodgers era. Could be, could not be. I'm still going to wait till see who the Steelers sign for their 4th quarterback. But, I do think that Will Howard does have some great intangibles. Dude is built like Josh Allen and Big Ben when Big Ben came out of the draft all those years ago. I hope he gets a shot. Though I do see, as much as we love Will Howard and could possibly see him, hopefully see him get a chance, I want to see him get in there in case, Rodgers and Rudolph get hurt or disappoint. I want to see Will Howard get in there, but I think Will Howard being a 6th round pick, that is a low risk, high reward scenario there. And still, though, I don't think, if the Steelers would have taken Shadur Sanders or Jackson Dart high in the draft, then that might have spelled Rodgers to maybe think about going elsewhere, but not in this case. He still might be coming here. Kenneth Miller, I can still see Ned being the one that goes. No team wants Jarry for his bad production with a pricey contract. Well, at least Jarry, I think he might have a tiny bit raised his trade stock. He did flash the Jarry of old, the Jarry that was a all-star over the last month of the season when he returned from Wilkes-Barre. So I think if you're going to get rid of Jarry, then you're most likely going to be packaging a pick along with him just for a team to take on that contract. Maybe you send him to one of those rebuilding teams who, maybe are looking to get a tiny bit of solid goaltending, but if they end up losing, then no big deal. team that comes to mind immediately. I don't know how realistic this is. Maybe like a Calgary Flames. The San Jose Sharks over the past couple of years have been famous for, uh, getting goalies that playoff contending teams don't win anymore. They've gone through Vitek Vanecek, Mackenzie Blackwood. Now they have Alexander Georgiev down there. Yaroslav Askarov, I believe, is also in San Jose right now. So maybe you send Jari to like one of those middling teams or teams that, are sort of rebuilding and don't have much expectations, who maybe, hey, they get a flashy goaltender, a name brand goaltender who maybe can steal them a couple of games, but if they lose, no big deal. Excuse me. Thought I had it. There we go. I thought I had a sneeze in the chamber there. Would have to retain quite a bit. Honestly, Jari, maybe you retain, $1 million on Jari. I think you'd honestly be more likely to retain money on Erik Karlsson if you move him out than you would Jari. I think Jari, if you can just package a pick, you get the team to take on the full contract. With Karlsson, though, if you trade Erik Karlsson, you're maybe sending a smaller sized draft pick there, but you're definitely going to retain $2, $3, $4 million. But hey, if you move out Erik Karlsson, if you feel that having just Chris Letang would be better, maybe you ship out Karlsson, you bring up Harrison Brunick, who by all measures has impressed a lot. He had impressed in spring. Oh my God, you can tell I'm on baseball mode here in the summer. He impressed in training camp and in the preseason. He then went to his junior team, continued producing there, and now had a good little run with Wilkes-Barre. So you ship out Karlsson, maybe retain a couple million. You can put that towards free agents or acquiring players in trades and give Harrison Brunick a run here in the NHL. I do think that for the Penguins to get back into the playoffs, they need to mirror what the Washington Capitals are going to do right now, and more so on the back end. Right now, I think it's with Karlsson and Letang. Karlsson, world-class athlete. You saw him play his best hockey there for a short bit this past season and looked like the guy who was dominant for Team Sweden in the Four Nations face-off. But overall here, things have not worked out with Erik Karlsson, so I understand if they want to move him out. Off the offensive production that he brings, it is elite and it is enticing, but his blunders and lack of defense on the other side have warranted him going elsewhere. But back to what I was talking about, the Capitals, if you move out Karlsson, then just like the Washington Capitals with John Carlson, you still have your longtime defensive cornerstone there and Chris Letang. You need to go out and you need to bring in a Jacob Chikrin, just like the Washington Capitals did. And the Penguins right now on the left side of their defense, their best left shot defenseman currently is Matt Grzelcyk, and he's a free agent. Other than that, you had Owen Pickering, who couldn't stay in the NHL this year, even when you were bringing up young guys. He was left down there in Wilkes-Barre. And Ryan Graves, who you're going to try to move him out this offseason as well. Now, Graves, he might be a guy where you need to do both. We just talked about Karlsson and Jari. Jari, maybe you send a pick and you get that contract entirely off the books. If you trade out Karlsson, then you retain a couple $1 million with Graves. You might need to do both just because he was so damn bad. So that is how that will be going there. Maybe ship off Karlsson, bring up Harrison Brunick, and you go spend money on a solid left shot defensive defenseman. Let me go here real quick. I'm going to sidetrack here for a minute. NHL free agency 2025. Who's available on the market there? 2025. Let's go Spotrac here. Who are some left shot defensemen available? Let's go here. Defenseman. UFA defenseman. Also want someone below 30, maybe like mid to high 20s. Ivan Provorov, is he a left shot? Former Philadelphia Flyers defenseman who then went to the Blue Jackets. Ryan Lindgren from the Rangers, who then got traded to the Avalanche this past deadline. He'll be available. Vladislav Gavrikov, I think he's a left shot from LA Kings. So you got those three. Beyond that, not too many sexy options here. Yeah, not really seeing anything. I will say this. The more and more down the stretch and the more I've thought about it this offseason, with the current state of your left shot defenseman, I'd be open to bringing back Matt Grzelcyk. For a time, we just wanted to get him the hell off the team, but Grzelcyk had a career high in points, I think 48 points, something like that, and he was the quarterback for the power play one, so maybe bring back Matt Grzelcyk and bring back Grzelcyk, bring up Owen Pickering, and sign a good left shot defenseman. You keep Ryan Shea up there as your seventh defenseman. He can play right or left, so that'll be good. God bless you. Thank you for that. Had to sneeze. Allergies. Really bad for me this time of year. We need to trade Ryan Graves. He's a liability. And Carlson. What I'm saying here, you give Dubas credit. He takes big swings, but those three big swings at the very beginning of his tenure have not panned out in the slightest bit. That is trading for Carlson, signing Ryan Graves, who was supposed to be this, solid left shot defensive defenseman that I've been talking about that the Pens need to go out and sign this offseason. He was supposed to be that, and he's underwhelmed. And his third big swing was giving Tristan Jarry an extension. And that resulted in him getting sent down to Wilkes-Barre for a good portion of this past season. I honestly think they will end up bringing in a first-time head coach. Could be. Think it's going to be someone who Dubas is going to view more in the modern-day light of hockey. Maybe even someone understudying with the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. Dubas has brought in some former Leafs, both on and off the ice. He brought in Jason Spezza as his assistant GM. He brought in Connor Timmins and Connor Dewar this past trade deadline. I'm trying to think of other former Toronto Maple Leafs who are slipping my mind right now. But yeah, it could be a young first-time head coach. I wouldn't doubt that. That was Dan Bylsma, and that was Mike Sullivan as well. But Sully was coming up from Wilkes-Barre. Do we give McDonald, the head coach for the Baby Pens, any shot here? I wonder. Could that be maybe like a Mike Sullivan 2.0 situation? Now he'll have big shoes to fill, but if you want to run it back like 2016 and 2017, do you bring up, what is it, Kirk McDonald is his first name? I don't know why I'm blanking on this. Wilkes-Barre Penguins. Is it Kirk McDonald? Yeah, Kirk McDonald. You bring him up with your Koivunens, your McGroartys, your Ponomarevs, maybe Tristan Brose, Harrison Brunick, Owen Pickering. You want to get the team younger and more energized. Could do that. Bring up the coach who they just had a phenomenal season. They lost in the first round, got swept in 2 games by the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, the Flyers AHL team. But, who knows? Maybe you can bring him up and have him with his kids that he's developed and see the product of his labor at the NHL level. And I'll give Amanda Kessel a go. Yeah, she can't be too much worse. Bring back Phil while you're at it. Put Amanda and Phil on the ice at the same time. There we go. So let me go through Twitter here, see if we got any other new news. Get out. Is that a joke? Is that a joke? Is that real? Get the hell out. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. From Steelers Depot, Steelers assistant coach Mike Sullivan no longer with the team. So now there aren't any Mike Sullivans left in Pittsburgh anymore. The Mike Sullivan of the Steelers coaching staff is now gone as well. Oh my goodness. That is hilarious. Mike Sullivan of the Steelers, he was I'm just going off the top of my head here, spitball, and I think he was like a offensive consultant or something. Back when Matt Canada got fired for the Steelers, he made up the game plans, and running back coach Eddie Faulkner, he was the one who was on the field calling plays, but there are no longer any Mike Sullivans left in Pittsburgh. Within the last hour, we have had Mike Sullivan of the Penguins get let go of, and now Mike Sullivan of the Steelers as well is gone. That is insane. What impeccable timing. Oh my God. That is hilarious. If your name is Mike Sullivan, get the hell out of Pittsburgh here on April 28th. That is hilarious. That would be good luck wherever you go next there, Mike Sullivan. Thank you for all the service you did for the Steelers, but my goodness. This 8 minutes ago from Kevin Weeks, per my conversations with several team owners, executives, and coaches, given the timing, 7B plus NHL revenues and other factors, Sullivan can reset the coach's compensation market. Does he get to or eclipse the higher watermark of $7 million per season? So Mike Sullivan could go out and become the new highest paid coach in the NHL. Do the New York Rangers do that? They'd be the type of team to do that. Spend, top dollar there for a head coach. Wow. Still not seeing any new things beyond that there from Kevin Weeks. Holy hell, Colin Dunlap. Maybe Mike Sullivan is the new Pope. Damn. Sidney Crosby has now had 5 head coaches in 20 years. Eddie Olczyk, Michel Therrien, Dan Bylsma, Mike Johnston, and Mike Sullivan. Next Penguins coach, David Carl. Odds makers have Mike Sullivan as the favorite to be the new Rangers head coach. It's been that way for 2 weeks now. Also, another thing that makes me a little bit more shocked that Sullivan has been let go of this morning is also just how well he did in the Four Nations face-off. Getting Team USA, getting a win over Canada. I think Sully's the coach of the Team USA in the Olympics too. So, interesting. Freight Train in the comments. Welcome back, Freight Train. Thank you for spending the past few days, minus yesterday with me for the NFL draft. Damn, just getting here, 44 minutes behind. It's all right. Just reacting in live time here. The Penguins parting ways with head coach Mike Sullivan. A shocker, but a much needed shocker this morning. Of course, 11 of you in here right now. I will say that this will not be the only time that I am live here today. I will be back later on this evening, recapping one more time what all the Steelers did in the NFL draft. Going to talk about some new undrafted free agents that they signed a little bit. And I'm going to talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins and how they, or the Pittsburgh Pirates, excuse me, and how they completely crapped the bed out in Los Angeles this weekend. So hope you guys subscribe and turn on notifications, and you can see and join me back out here, back in here later tonight. That will usually be in between 5 and 6 p.m. is when I am live again. Wow. All right, so not seeing anything else new for right now, so I think I'm going to wrap it up there. If any other new news on Mike Sullivan comes down here today, we will discuss it again here later tonight. Again, that's going to be between 5 and 6 o'clock is when I will be live again talking about the Pirates and Steelers as well. So we'll talk about any more new information that we get on the Penguins and Mike Sullivan parting ways. 13 of you in here right now. Thank you very, very much for joining me here at 10:22 on a Monday morning. Appreciate it very, very much. Think I'm going to wrap things up there, and that'll be it. So apparently Mike Sullivan had some sort of non-negotiable demands that he wanted to get off his chest to Kyle Dubas and Penguins ownership. Dubas and Fenway Sports Group denied those non-negotiable requests, and now Sullivan will be looking for a job elsewhere, most likely going to be with the New York Rangers. I'm sure we will hear more on this between now and 5 or 6 o'clock later tonight, maybe even get a press conference from Kyle Dubas. We'll see. But until then, hope you all join me back here later tonight. We will talk about this. We'll talk about the Penguins. We'll talk about the Pirates, and we'll talk about the Steelers. Thank you all very, very much for joining me. Appreciate it. As always, like, share, and comment on this video. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And we'll be back later tonight to break down more on this breaking news of Mike Sullivan and the Penguins parting ways after nearly a decade of work together. So thank you guys, and I will see you back here later tonight. Have a good rest of your Monday. Come on back later tonight between 5 and 6 o'clock.